everybody. Thank you so much for joining us for the Let Me Introduce You podcast. I am Jen. This is Adarian. This is episode number 21, and we are doing the trouble with fascia. Adarian actually doesn't really know what to expect with this. But I think the thing with fascia is it's a term that's used a lot. And I don't know that people necessarily understand what the word actually means. So I did some searching. Researchers actually can't even agree on what the meaning of the term fascia is. Right. In fact, there's 3 different academic committees that are devoted to trying to define fascia, and they all have different definitions.
Right.
Which is mildly problematic when you're using it around, when you're throwing it around, in your terminology.
And
what? What was that?
And using it for research.
And using it for research, because what are we researching? So in a paper I found called The History of Fascia, they said that fascia is a generic anatomical term that refers to a variety of the body's soft, fibrous connective tissue parts. The term fascia has been around for 400 years.
Right.
So it's generic. This I thought was really important because we've attributed all these magical, mythical things to it.
Yeah, because a lot of people say soft tissue. Okay, let's move on then.
Right.
And yeah, so if it's soft tissue, connecting tissue, okay, let's move on.
Which is what that's how a lot of people define it. The etymology of the word. So then I got curious. I'm like, it's been around for 400 years. I had no idea. The etymology of the word, it originated in the 1560s from the Latin word fascia, which means a band, a bandage, a swath, or a ribbon.
Yeah.
And anatomists love to name things what they resembled, what they looked like.
Right.
So that actually makes sense.
Right.
That's where that word came from. Healthcare providers view fascia as everything that presumes the presence of collagen/connective tissue or from which it is derived. Fascial systems include blood, bone, cartilage, adipose tissue, hematopoietic tissue. I don't know if I'm saying that word right. And lymphatic tissue. So everything. So we have this word that means everything inside.
Right.
And yet we also have systems like anatomy trains, which was founded by Tom Myers. And he developed it as a way to teach fascial anatomy when he was teaching anatomy for the Rolfing Institute. And Ida Rolf viewed the body as one large muscle.
Right.
Rolfing, exactly. So Thomas Myers was trying to figure out a way to teach this concept to students. And this is where the fascial lines came from. He made them up.
Well, go back one second. Even though, I'm always prepared, even though she don't think I'm prepared. And so you mentioned that, what she does versus what a masseuse does. And I think that's where the distinction between those two things came in that.
Yes.
Because what a masseuse does is mash on things. What they were doing was trying to separate things.
Yes.
So just to put that out there.
And it's true. And I've actually been Rolfed. And they do it in a very systematic way, working from head to toe, trying to find these, like you said, separate out these connections. And
yeah. What some people would call, what some people say is a deep tissue massage, but it's not a deep tissue massage. It's totally different.
Very different. And the experience of it is very different.
Yeah.
Scientists do agree that fascia is important for movement. It allows for things to slide.
Lubricate, yeah.
Which I thought was super interesting, and that includes muscles, nerves, and vessels, and organs.
Well, you go into this here where you go, okay, so let's look at it this way here, where we know what everything is wrap, because we don't want to stick together. So you have this tissue that's wrapping, so things don't stick together.
Right.
You know, and then on the other part, if you understand functional protein, you know, everything in the body requires a functional protein.
Right.
Everything. If you want to spit, if you want to tear, you need a functional protein for these things to happen. So the skin doesn't stick to something. There's a functional protein to make sure that doesn't happen. I think that's where they have to identify that. Which functional protein is this?
Yeah.
Which functional if they identify that, everybody can be happy, and that's hard too, because a lot of times it's hard to identify these. I mean, these proteins are hard to identify. I mean, we know.
Right.
I mean, that's how we get diseases. We know, okay, you're missing this protein here, and we know you're missing this protein, but we don't know where to put it at. So we know you're missing it, but we don't know where to put it at to make things okay again, because we don't know how the body goes through that process.
Right.
So then if you look at somebody like MS, what's the problem? They're missing some fascia.
Right. In their myelin sheath, which is what affects that impulse from the nerves to the muscles.
Right. So they don't cross insulation. So you have this functional protein called myelin sheath, which is also another form of fascia,
Right.
So you go through those things like that. But yeah, it's everything, and that's when I remember the first time when I heard about it, they said, yeah, it's one big, everything. So I was like, and they talked about connective tissue and things like that. I said, well, the only thing that's endless is the skin. Other than that.
Right.
And I remember, when they talked about it, anatomy trains and things like that, and dissection and things like that. I said, well, why don't they just lay it out in one big chain? If it's connected, and everything is like, why don't you just lay it out in one big chain? Like, how they have those puzzles that when you fold them together, you get this thing again. Well, why don't they do that then? That was my question. Yeah. Why do you have these still cut things apart if it's really what they say it is? That's just me. And that's why I don't go to these things. But I got a question.
Well, and if we think of fascia as something that reduces friction, that allows for motility, essentially, right?
Yeah.
Like that's just a much easier way to conceptualize it. And again, that also implies that it could be in a lot of different places and connected in a lot of different ways, not necessarily these ways that we're taught that it's connected,
Yeah, well, I think, even with that there, where we talk about, even if you have to bring in the word, lubricant, you got to bring in the word, viscosity.
Right.
Because based on the viscosity of something, either it's flowing or it's not going to flow very well. So that's going to cause something. It may seem like it's sticking when it's just not flowing because it's too thick.
Right.
And everything. Why do people take blood thinners? They try to
change.
Yeah.
Viscosity of the blood.
Yeah. Why do some people drink wine? Because some people think wine thickens the blood.
Oh, really?
Yeah, red wine I think it is.
Oh, I did not know that. So this fascia serves, well, it's a generic term and it serves a variety of purposes since it's basically everything that constitutes us internally.
Right. So, and that was, even like I remember seeing some of the lines and things like that from trains and whatnot. And things I would actually like, how come they didn't take that all the way to the tip of the toe?
Well, and so when I was reading this article by Thomas Myers about the origination of anatomy trains, he tested some stuff out. He played with where he thought these lines might go.
Yeah.
And so this anatomy trains is really based on one person's opinion.
Yeah.
Of what he saw and what he perceived as being this continuous line from, like you said, from the foot up to the shoulder or whatever.
Right. And but like I said, then people try to mix in that and then tensegrity and these other things. Right. I'm thinking like, well, this is where I have a problem at. Because I have my arm, and like I said, this is probably tensegrity, where tensegrity is supposed to mean what? If I pull on one side, the other side should move too. Well, I just move my arm and it doesn't happen on the other side. So I'm done with this one.
Right.
I just move my arm, but it doesn't,
Although it does create some tiny little shifts in the torso when you move the arm.
Yeah, but that's just a movement. That's not because I'm pulling my arm and this side wants to be pulled along.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what it's supposed to admit. That if I pull this side is doesn't adjust like that. Because we got joint tissue.
Right. Because you could make your arm pull so much that the rest of it goes too.
You could. You're just gonna pull the body.
Right.
But like I said, that's like a lot of times people hang. If that was the case, if when people hang from one arm, they should stretch out like Stretch Armstrong.
Right. And they don't.
They don't because the joint stops it.
Right.
We can't stretch our joints out. That's not going to happen.
Right.
You know. So then you get this other thing happening at a joint that's different, and that, I think that's what people forget. We got joints,
Right.
and so joints make things different for us. You know, than some of these things that people are putting out there and everything. You know, and then we got this different. You get different tissues that have different elastic properties.
Right.
You know, versus the ligament versus, you know, just like people say, you know, those tendons. No, the tendon came out of that muscle. And
Yeah.
then they attach to this. And like I said, that's the unique thing, like I said, about that functional protein. There's a functional protein that's switching up, switching up, switching up, switching up.
Yeah.
It's a different cell, you know, whatever you want to call it, osteoblast, fibroblast, da 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 da. And then all of a sudden it mixes into this bone, you know. And then as you go up the chain, it changes again. And so we forget about, we so specialize in some of these things that we can do, some of the things that the body does, you know,
Right.
that I think people, you know, and once again, that's why, you know, we get into this thing of why do I need to know, you know, what am I gonna do with this information? That's always what I work from.
Right.
I got this fascia information. What am I gonna do with it now?
Right.
What,
And
what am I supposed to do?
we do have structures in the body that are very specifically identified as fascia, like the plantar fascia.
Yeah, but also within that, and within that, you know, we call it that, you know, but what's also around that? Like is there some muscles above it? Is some, you know, some
Yeah.
other things that, yeah, some other structures around this thing, you know. So once again, what is this fascia doing? Is it letting the muscle and the skin separate itself? What is it really doing? Is it just
Right.
about the windlass mechanism? Is it just about the windlass mechanism? I can tighten. Is a different type of band now, or different type of tendon in a sense that I want this to happen with this thing. You know, just like they have those bands that wrap around certain tendons of the body so they stay
Yes.
in place. You know,
Yep.
they got certain names for them and stuff like that. But yeah, so what's this thing doing again?
Right.
You know, and I think that's a lot of it there too. Like you could why all of a sudden, you know, like I said, because we got muscle and skin everywhere,
Right.
and then also we got the special fascia that we name out.
Yeah.
That, you know, what makes this one different that we name it out like this? What is it doing? You know, and I think that's what people don't look into. Like, what is this doing now? What function does this have? You know, and could it be a continuation of, like I said, to me, if we do have a continuation of something, it would be a continuation of what? At that point in time, it's continuation of the gastroc, Achilles running into, you know. But the Achilles has an endpoint, and that's why we
Right.
know, and it has an endpoint. It doesn't, you know.
Which does, and so then you wonder if anatomists were just naming it that because that's what it resembled. Again, this band, this bandage, this, you know. So they
Yeah.
thought, oh, this looks like this, so I'm going to call it this. It's like the iliotibial band, which is named the iliotibial band, but everybody says the band is actually fascia, right?
Right. Well, you can see like you got that up high, you got that TFL stuck in there someplace, and
Right.
people think that's part of the glutes, you know, but you got
Right.
this interwoven, you know, stuff that kind of, you know, make it do. And but that's once again, you know, why do we, you know, we have to stop and think like, well, why is this way all of a sudden?
Right.
Why is it this way all of a sudden? Even I think I was talking to Dawn, and she just dissected some things, and she was talking about how the structure of the like the soleus. It's like an octopus.
Mm-hmm.
It wraps around this thing.
Yeah.
So you go, but what we're looking at the outside of the muscle
Right.
versus this thing, and so it makes sense that when it's she says it's stuck around like an octopus. Oh snap! And
Yeah.
I think that's when you can broaden your horizons about movement. Then you go, oh, this thing is stuck on there like an octopus. So if it does this, like, okay, got it.
Yeah.
You know, so yeah. Or even, you know, like I said, what do you do with the tongue?
Yeah.
You know, this thing that has no muscles.
Right.
You know, how does it work? It works on this hydrostatic pressure thing. Okay, got it.
Yeah.
You know, and so can we do that throughout the whole body? But except I got a bone in here now. Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah.
You know, so I think those are some of the things that's just, you know, where people have taken it to reduce their horizon instead of broaden their horizon.
Right.
You know, even, you know, when you start talking about tensegrity, you know, I think it applied to certain parts of the body, like the hamstring,
Hmm.
but not other parts of the body. You know,
Yes.
I think you apply to certain parts. Yeah, that's the tensegrity structure right there. But I don't think the
Hmm.
whole body is a tensegrity structure.
That makes sense. Well, and it is, I mean, and it is interesting that when you put your attention to some aspect of what you're doing, often you'll feel a change elsewhere, right?
Yeah. Oh, because I got a good test for you today. I got a good test for you
Okay.
today.
Okay, I'm
Okay.
ready.
You got to stand up. So
Okay.
you know the famous touch a hamstring test.
Yeah.
I'm gonna call that a dysfunctional test.
So touching my toes.
Touching your toes to me with your legs straight is a dysfunctional is a dysfunction to me.
Uh-huh.
And I'll tell you why. So go ahead and if you can touch your toes, touch your toes. If you can't, you can't. Okay. So now watch this. Go ahead and squat down.
And for those of you who can't see this, I touched the floor with no problem. All
Yeah.
right, so I'm squatting down.
Yeah. Now go ahead and put your hands on the ground. And go ahead and keep your knees right there. Don't let your knees
Okay.
move. Go ahead and raise your butt up. Can't let your knees move. Can't let your knees move. Can't let your
Woo.
knees move. You
Okay.
can't see what I'm saying? And why?
Yes.
Because what is happening is as the hips move up, where the hamstrings attached to?
They
Right
attached to
there.
the
The
ischial
hip moves up,
tuberosity.
they want to pull the knee back.
Yeah.
They want to pull the knee back. You know,
Right.
that's that, you know. So if I can't raise my hips up, I'm stopped. So like for me, so we go in the same pattern. In order for me to touch my toes, guess what? These need to come down.
Right.
If these stay right here, that's all you can do. You're locked up. But
Yeah.
people have figured out a way. People have figured out a way to go, oh look, and then what do they end up stretching out? They end up stretching out their arms. The legs.
Right.
You can't have it both ways.
That makes sense. Okay.
So because you know, and that's why I think people think why the hamstrings are biarticular, but they don't control the joint. They just stop this whole movement from happening. It's not the joint they stop from moving. They
Right.
stop this whole part of your body from moving. Why? Because it's directly to this other thing that's not moving anymore.
Yeah.
And how far can you stretch a hamstring? Not very far.
Right.
We're talking about stretching. No, you can't, because the things are going to break and snap. But think about that link right there. Like I said, think about that link right there, where in a sense, to me, that's a tensegrity structure. If this
Right.
comes, this comes with me. If this, and then people violate that because they see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Amazing.
It is amazing.
You guys be ready today, huh? You?
I'm impressed. I'm impressed. Like he's prepared.
So yeah, so I think, and what does fascia have to do with that? Nothing.
Right.
You got a lot of things working on that. I got arteries in there. I got veins in there that got to move. You got a whole lot of things that have to move to make that happen. I got nerves that got to move. I got a lot of things that got to move to make that happen.
Well, again, if we go with the generalized, so that initial description of fascia, where it's a generic anatomical term that refers to all of those things.
Yeah, it's everything.
Yeah, it's everything.
Well, I got another thing for you too. Watch, this is cool too.
Okay.
You got to stand up. You just got to stand up again. So this becomes fun here. So place your right hip over your right ankle.
Okay.
And place your left hip over your left ankle.
At the same time?
Yeah. So just, all you're trying to do is place, I mean, not your hip, I'm sorry, your shoulder. So your right shoulder over the right ankle, over left ankle. I'm sorry.
I was gonna say, this is really weird. Okay, got it. Okay.
I'm sorry. Okay. Now just relax a little bit.
Okay.
Which way did you rotate?
My torso rotated forward a little bit.
See what I'm saying? See what happened? You rotated.
I did rotate, yeah.
Once again, that's a structure. That's a connected structure.
Right.
You rotate, you put it by this is. I mean, think about that. All I said was, and this is when we talk about how we don't, things are crazy for us. Where all I said, hey, because we think what? We think these things are over these things.
Right.
Think, like I said, at this point in time, what did I do? All we said was, hey, because we think these things are already in place like this.
Right.
All I said was, yeah, take your right shoulder, put it over the right ankle, and take your left shoulder, put it over the left ankle, then relax. And then when you relax, the body, it swayed. On the way, it's going to sway. So just to think about that right there, that even as we think about alignments, we're not aligned. We're not even
right
as we think we are. The brain understands the alignment, but
yeah.
So something as simple as that, where once again, oh, let me go back to here.
Right.
That's a integrity structure. At that point,
right.
the whole structure now, like, oh, we move, let's move.
Yeah.
Everything feel that pull, and then it goes, so at that point in time. But yeah, I think that those become some of the things that we're not, consciously aware of. Subconsciously, things are going on all the time, that this structure is moving and doing this, and it says, okay, we need this to happen now, so we're gonna make you this over here. Okay, we need this over here, so we're gonna make you this over here, and everything. But yeah.
Well, and it seems like this takes this idea of this perfect alignment or ideal posture or whatever, and it kind of tosses it out the window, right?
Right. The ideal, whatever we think ideal is,
Yeah.
Just because, whatever the system thinks ideal is ideal.
Right.
And we don't know what the system thinks.
Right.
We really don't know what the system. It just puts us in a situation based on, just like this here. People think sitting upright is the best thing ever.
Mm-hmm.
And then, but what's the best thing? Slouching is the best thing ever. If you want to turn your system off, slouch, and watch how fast you sleep.
Right.
But so am I supposed to be like this all day? That's a whole lot of energy that the body doesn't want to. Or should I just go and just call it a day? I mean, I watch. Like I said, it's funny. We the only creatures that want to sit up.
Right.
The other creatures will lay down. They really just they're gonna find a way to lay down. They don't care. They're gonna find, except again, we crazy.
It's true. My 2 dogs are on the bed right now, lounging. Like
they don't go, hey, I'm gonna get this perfect posture. I'm just gonna sit up like this all day. They don't do it.
Right.
If they sit like this, most likely they lean on something anyways. And then they're gonna, before you know it, they're
yeah.
So yeah, crazy stuff. But I think that's a lot of it there, is that just dealing with things, just understanding that, this fascia thing, okay, cool. Everything, okay, cool. But what do I do with this information now? What am I supposed to do with this information now? It's whatever I want to do. If I want to run faster, jump higher, if I want to meditate, if I want to breathe more, what do I do with this information about fascia?
Right.
So and then you have the people talk about, because it makes things slide, it needs lubricant, but at the same time, it's weird. That's why I asked my class too about the body. What is because the body's one big chemistry experiment going on.
Right.
And so one of those things you go, okay, I need oxygen.
Mm-hmm.
And so why don't the body just take one of those oxygen molecules from one of the water molecules?
Right.
Because then it wouldn't be water.
Right.
And now I got another problem. So this, and even like blood, what's blood? Blood is a liquid. It's not,
Yeah.
and so it has, but even like urine, what's urine? It's a liquid. It's not water, it's a liquid.
Right.
They call it urine for a reason. They don't call it water, they call it urine. They call blood, because the chemistry is different.
Right.
I mean, once I drink that water, it hits my stomach, it's a different.
Yeah.
Because now it's mixed in with stomach acid, some other stuff, and that's why they say, fluids coming out of you. When you have diarrhea, you're losing a lot of fluid that you gotta read. At that point in time, something's gonna happen if you don't put this fluid back in you.
Right.
Because the body needs this chemistry. It needs like what's the biggest thing in the world? I mean, why do these big companies have these water? because we know water is going to solve a lot of problems for us.
Yeah.
You know, so if I need this water for this chemistry experiment to keep going on. Without this water, this chemistry experiment can't keep going. Whether it needs to dilute something, whether it needs to add something, whether it needs, you know, the ion over here, I need this water to, but once it get in me, it's something else now.
Right.
You know, so that becomes same thing with sugar. Once you get sugar, it becomes something else.
Yeah.
You know, they're gonna switch it into something else, you know, and moving on, you know. So yeah, I think that's a lot of it too, is that, you know, for us, you know, like for me, I think that's why for us in this business, we need to keep it just simple.
Right.
You know, we have these different systems, connected tissues, yes.
Yes.
And they call it connective tissue for a reason, because why? It's connecting this to this. It's connecting this bone to this bone. It's called connective tissue for a reason.
Right.
Just call it what, just let's be done with it at that.
Yeah.
You know, just like some people say the tendon has elasticity. Well, how can a tendon have elasticity but not the muscle?
Right.
Okay, one, not when they kind of interconnected in the.
Yeah.
And everything is elastic. It's just to the degree of, you know,
Yes.
stress, strain, and inflammation. So everything will return. Even bones are elastic. They bend to form a little bit. And they're gonna pop back to it. If they don't, they break.
Right.
You know about that elastic, the plastic. You don't want your bones to break, but they're gonna bend and mold, and you know, over time we can see bones do change shapes.
Yeah.
You know, enough stress, constant stress on it. We see those bones will take shape. That's now it's not broken, but it's plastic, because whatever shape it was started out there, they can't return back to that shape anymore. But it's still elastic because its new shape is going to try and stay in.
Right.
You know, so, and that's, it was funny. Don's daughter just broke her arm, and they tried to set it, and they put a cast on, and the bone shifted. That's because they forgot about the rotation. They forgot about that it was in the cast. And so because things are still rotating, it shifted. And I said, what if they put the cast on and a counter rotation movement? I said, I bet it would have stayed in place.
Yeah. Interesting.
But just understanding things like that, like, what if they just put this on this way? So it makes a counter rotation, so it doesn't want to.
Yeah.
You know, but yeah, you know, nobody talks about, you know, a lot of different stuff that's going on out there. But yeah, I think that's a lot of it too. Is for us, let's keep it simple. You know, or please tell me what I'm supposed to do with this information.
Right.
How's this information going to help me walk better?
Yes.
How's the information going to help me, you know, get out of bed better? How's the information going to help me drive my car better? How's the information going to help me do whatever I'm supposed to be doing?
Right.
You always think I'm not ready.
I know. I'm pretty impressed. That was good. That was solid.
Yeah. So, yeah. I think even back to the whole Thomas Meyer stuff, like I said, you know, like I said, he made up stuff, you know, fine, we all make stuff up, no big deal.
Totally.
You know, it just becomes when people can't see outside, like, you know, the expand from it.
Yeah.
You know, what happens, like I say, if this does wrap this way and this wraps this way, I'm supposed to have tension for your schedule. Well, guess what? If I wrap this way, one side has slack now, so it can't get tension anymore. So that blows something blowing up at this point. Whatever theory you got just blew up at that point in time.
Right.
You know, so yeah. And I always ask the question, how did they jump the iliac crest? How does it structure this? I'm like, how did they just jump that? Because they stop here and they go here, so that's not that connection's over already.
Right.
They just didn't jump this. You know, how would that affect my heart if every time I move something pulled on it?
Right.
You know, I mean, you go through these. That's why, you know.
Yeah.
And I don't. You ever see open heart surgery video? It's crazy.
You have sent it to me. Yes, it is crazy.
You ever see what they got to do just to cut somebody open?
Oh, that's an ordeal. Yeah.
You know, when they put that chest spread in you and they got to crank, and then they got to use that thing to crank, and then they use the big old piano wire to sew all this back up.
Yeah.
Wow. And you think we're just moving that easy? It don't.
No, it's true. It's true.
Like, I mean, if you break a rib, you had to do something. That's not. You had to do something to break that rib.
Yeah.
You know. So yeah. So it's funny when you look at, you know, when you see that and you're thinking, and you watch this heart just beating, like it got plenty of space in there. It got a little, but like you talking about all this stuff around this thing is just it didn't need much space. It's enough space for it to beat and keep it moving.
Right.
If other than that, if it bumped into something, you're gonna get a pain pretty soon.
Yeah.
Because that's not that unwanted collision is not gonna go well in there. Right. So it has just enough space, and like I said, so if you move about, it has to make sure it maintains This just amount of right space, you know. Like I said, you've seen people get hurt when they get hit in the chest so hard that they hit their heart. And they get a bruise. That wasn't, but you had to hit me hard to move that material. Versus the brain is easy. Just shake your brain, you'll rattle something.
True.
You know, so saying in boxing, we've seen people get a kidney shot and collapse. That's the pain.
Yeah.
Like you get some kidney, they buckling. It's just the pain of it, you know. But you're moving a lot of other stuff too. That's the whole problem. So things move, they shouldn't have been moving.
Right.
So to me, you know, when people talk about fascia, it's always about how stuff stays in place, not how stuff moves, but how it helps things stay in place where it belongs in the first place.
And
you know, so yeah, that's my story.
That was a good story. That was good. So there you have it, everybody. So if you are someone who uses the term fascia a lot and has studied it, we're just presenting this information to give you an alternative way of thinking about things.
Right. A lot of times people think we say something, we say somebody's wrong. No, we're not saying you're wrong. We're just saying there's an alternative way. And there's a little bit of history behind this whole situation.
Yes.
You know, and everything, you know. And like I said, it's made up. If Thomas Meyer made up anatomy trains, like I keep telling people, you're free to make up wherever you want to make up. You're free to make it up, people.
Yeah, which gives...
If it makes sense to you, then go ahead and do it.
Exactly, which gives people a lot of creative freedom, actually.
Right. There's only, you know, like I said, the only thing we got to follow is the law.
Yeah.
If it's not a law, make it up. Go keep on. You can do whatever. If it's not, you know, Hooke's law, we got it. Okay, we can't. Okay, that's Hooke's law. Fine. Outside of that, make it up.
Yeah. Well, thank you everybody for joining us, and we have some events coming up.
Uh-oh.
Oh, are you there?
Oh, now you sped up. You're back now.
I think we're back.
Glitch.
Yes.
Yeah. Did a speed up glitch. Yeah.
So we have some events coming up, right?
As always, we have January 12th to 13th, Las Vegas, Mandalay Bay, the biomechanics, the Yellow Brick Road Movement Summit. Goodbye, Yellow Brick Road Movement Summit.
It's the Biomechanics Movement Summit, everybody. Name will be changing next year, but yeah.
We have Portland coming up in February.
Portland's coming up in February. If you're curious about the exercises from the book, Let Me Introduce You, join us.
And we have Asheville coming up in April.
We do.
And we have something coming up in July now. We're going to be someplace in July.
We are going to be at the Idea Fitness Conference. We are presenting, and we'll also be at the Expo.
In July, folks. Stay tuned.
And if you are not one that likes to travel and you'd rather just learn from us in your living room, we also have a pelvic floor course available.
Yes, very good pelvic floor course.
Yes.
Yeah. And it's the only pelvic floor course based on just moving.
Just moving. It's
not based on, you know,
dysfunction
or dysfunction or something like that.
Yeah.
It's based on how can we use this to help us move and things like that. You know, how can I make it stronger with movement? So yeah.
Right. Cool. All right. We will catch you all next time. And if you have any questions, comments, or you want a topic covered, feel free to shoot me a DM. You could also shoot Adarian a DM, but you'll probably get a response from me.
Yeah, shoot me, Jen.
All right. Thanks, everybody.